The new Miss Universe Philippines is half black. Okay. And apparently she's making history because she's the first half black, half Filipino to win the title. Honestly, I'm just so happy to see this representation because you guys know that we got colorism worldwide, but especially in Asia. I'm like happily surprised that somebody of African descent was able to win. And obviously it is a rarity if it's the first in the whole history of the competition. This is my first time hearing about Chelsea, but I would definitely be tuning in and supporting anything in the future. I just can't imagine the hardships that one has to go through. I didn't even want to look to see if there was any controversy or whatever, because I just think that we should just celebrate this. I'm rooting for everybody black. No matter what the skin tone, this sort of representation is so positive because we are always dealing with people believing we don't belong in these spaces, believing we can't be the beauty standard. So I'm just really, really happy that this happened, and I hope she gets the support she deserves. Who knows, maybe some of the other Asian countries will follow suit and start giving opportunities to people who are half black. We're also starting to see half black idols being accepted in different music spaces in Asia as well. So hopefully this is a positive step forward.
This beautiful young lady just won Miss Universe Philippines 2024. She's gorgeous, right? But here's the thing. She won while being half black and Filipina. This is a step in the greater direction from my Moreno and my Negritos. Like, mwah, chef kiss. If you an American wondering what's the big deal, let me just share with you from my experience and observation and from the experience of Morena women that I know here in the Philippines. They really get the hard end of the stick when it comes to the beauty standard. All the way until right now, they have never been the ideal beauty standard. As beautiful as they are. Like, to this day, I know women here who have to try to convince themselves that they're beautiful, and they're extremely beautiful, but they never really believed it, all because of how much they were torn down in their childhood or just in their community about their skin. There's going to be Filipinos in the comment who disagree and argue. Pause. This is not the argument of if the Philippines is racist. Pay attention. We're talking about something that is very much known here. If you're a darker skinned Filipina or Filipino, they look at that like it's less fortunate. But what I'm saying is, whether you this dark or 2 shades lighter or my complexion or any complexion, the world, the universe loves melanin. We love melanin. And quite honestly, more than half of the Filipinos themselves here in the Philippines are melanated people, and y'all should be proud of whatever you came out the womb looking like. And she's a prime example of it. This got me wondering will the rest of Southeast Asia start recognizing the melanated women here, because when I'm telling y'all, they have melanated, aka dark-skinned women in Asia. They do, you guys, they do. It's just, will they be put in the position to be seen by the world? But this year it happened. So we just giving flowers. We don't want no bulls in the comments. Show love and swipe up.
Hello guys, today we want to discuss about this girl called Chidimma. I'm here with my friend Evans Rayola. We are going to discuss and have a reaction to this trending video of Chidimma, and then by the end of the video we shall give you our thoughts. We shall also have a deep critical analysis. So without further ado, let's jump into this video.
We are rooting for Chidimma, hoping that she wins, and it's important to highlight these things when they do happen, because as Nima has said, there is a history of xenophobia in South Africa, and when we realize that the community itself should be intentional about changing the view or the perception other people have of South Africa concerning non-South Africans that live in their country. So it's important for us to just support Chidimma and wishing her the best, that hopefully she's able to win the pageant, and we can also celebrate her all the way here. And
so that's the thing. Let her win the pageant and let South Africa celebrate her. When we now celebrate her, she has taken it home.
Even Mozambique too celebrate her.
Yes.
The whole of Africa
That's what Africa was hoping.
Because the goal is that she would go and represent South Africa in the Miss Universe pageant.
And they were calling Chidimma, not Bonang.
But she's African. No.
My life has been a roller coaster ride, so uncertain and unpredictable. I grew up having insecurities as I was always bullied because of my skin and hair type. My self-confidence became poor and I started to become indifferent. But I did not let this shed my own light. I have a strong support system. My family and friends are my backbone. That is why I had a good understanding of accepting my individuality. They made me realize that I am beautiful in my own extraordinary way. And now, I am a print, ramp, and commercial model. Chelsea is a woman who looks at herself in the mirror, who embraces herself and knows her worth. Because being beautiful lies on the innate beauty of a human being.
Whether Chidimma Adetshina is South African is a question of law. It's not a question of feelings or emotions or prejudice or xenophobia. It is a question of law. And parties to the Government of National Unity all signed a statement of intent in which we agreed to not only abide by the rule of law, but to promote the rule of law. And so the Patriotic Alliance is bound by the law and not by their feelings or by their suspicions or by their prejudice. If she is South African in terms of the law, then she's entitled to contest the Miss South Africa competition, and we shouldn't be tolerating cyberbullying or xenophobia. Let's move on, find out if she is South African by law, and then get behind her as one of the contestants in the Miss South Africa competition.
Your citizenship is determined by where you were born. So if she was born here, she's South African. It doesn't matter who they are. She's not her parents. She's herself. So why do you want to say she's from Nigeria or she's from Mozambique? She was born here. In America, actually, I don't know how many months. If I'm not wrong, if you are 6 months pregnant or so, they don't allow you to visit. Because they know that once you visit and you stay there and you give birth there, that child is American. Yeah, they know that as long you don't have to be American. Yeah, it's born in a hospital there. Yeah, must be certified immediately that this is the child who was born in America. This is an American citizen. So we can't do that. We cannot punish people on the basis of where their parents come from. So I've not followed the debate. I don't know if she's South African or not. But I would guess the Miss South Africa company would have done the necessary due diligence and come to a conclusion that she's a suitable candidate to contest. So those are the things that are actually engineered by those who are spreading hatred amongst African people. Such people should not.
And this is the video we are going to do today with my brother Evans. Evans, what do you know about this girl, Chidimma?
According to what I've seen online, most especially on TikTok, is that Chidimma has parents who, his dad is Nigerian, then the mom is Zimbabwean, but she was born in South Africa. Right now, after she won Mr. and Mrs. World South Africa, South Africans have started complaining that she's not South African, that her papers were forged, and that she does not deserve to represent South Africa on a global stage. And this has just brought mixed reactions online. Myself, I think that it's wrong for South Africans to do that, because if we assume that she did not win that beauty pageant, there couldn't be such issues right now.
Do you know, let me cut you short, there is also a story of first of all, I want to ask you a question. Do you think the South Africans are angry because she won, or do you think South Africans are angry because Chidimma is calling herself South African and she's not, perhaps? What makes the South Africans angry?
I think what made them angry is because Chidimma won.
A 23-year-old model who has South African and Nigerian parents has faced trying moments after social media users questioned her nationality. Chidimma Vanessa Onwe Adetshina is among the top 13 models seeking to represent South Africa at the next Miss World Beauty pageant. Vanessa was born to a South African mother and a Nigerian father in South Africa's Johannesburg city. The model's mother also has Mozambican roots. The law student who was raised in Soweto and later moved to Cape Town says she has spent her whole life in South Africa. She adds that in the Miss South Africa 2024 pageant, public attention was not focused on her until she made it to the top 16. Vanessa recently told Sowetan Live news outlet, "I thought to myself, I'm representing a country, but I don't feel the love from the people I am representing. I even asked myself, is it worth it?" The model said there are several other contestants of mixed heritage in the beauty pageant, but they do not receive the negative attention she gets. Vanessa told True Love magazine, "My father being Nigerian doesn't take away the fact that I am South African. According to Miss South Africa entry requirements, a contestant must be a South African citizen and in possession of a valid South African ID document or passport. If the applicant holds dual citizenship, details of both nationalities must be provided." In her recent interview with Sowetan Live, Vanessa said she has a son with her ex-husband who she divorced in February this year. She said, "We were not compatible because he had this ideology of what an African married woman is. I did not want to be in a position where I cannot go out but had to clean, cook. That was just not for me." She added that her marriage robbed her of the beauty of being a wife. For now, she is happy. She is realizing her childhood dream of being a successful model, a career that her mother had also wanted to pursue, but circumstances could not allow. Vanessa revealed that her dream to be crowned Miss South Africa started in 2017. On August 10th, the new Miss South Africa will be crowned, and Vanessa hopes she would succeed Natasha Joubert as the crown holder. A South African citizenship can be acquired by birth, descent, or naturalization. A person born to a South African citizen or permanent resident of South Africa is granted citizenship by birth. The same applies to a person adopted by a South African national. Citizenship by descent is granted to people born outside South Africa to South African nationals, while naturalization is for people who have South African spouses or have held a permanent residence permit for at least 5 years. Miss South Africa 2001 Vanessa Carreira, who was born in South Africa, won the title despite having parents.
Something awful has happened in South Africa involving South African model Chidimma Vanessa Onwe Adetshina, who is an entrant and actually has become a contestant on Miss South Africa. She has been attacked mercilessly and awfully bullied and insulted by people saying that she's not really South African. Chidimma was born and raised in South Africa. She was raised in Soweto. She was born at Chris Baragwanath Hospital to a South African mother and a Nigerian father. But many South Africans are now saying, based on her appearance and her name, she's not actually South African, even though she quite literally is when you consider being South African is just, are you a citizen of this country? Are you born here, raised here, have a valid ID? Then you're a citizen. She is a citizen. But a lot of people are pointing out that it's not just xenophobia, the fear of the foreigner, it's specifically Afrophobia happening here, because it's the fear and hatred of African immigrants, even though she's not an immigrant, African people in South Africa, tying into conversations that have been stoked up and led by politicians who've now got lots of votes and got elected, that foreigners are coming in and stealing the jobs and committing all the crimes and all this evil stuff, which is overwhelmingly not supported by facts or data. Here's another Miss South Africa contestant. This is her third time entering Miss South Africa. Her name is Sherry Wang. There have been some weird messages and awful messages about her, but not nearly the same level of mass fury and mass vitriol against her being in Miss South Africa at all. And she's a South African citizen. This outrage is very selective. There's very little actual outrage teetering into xenophobia against Europeans coming here, Americans coming to South Africa. But when it is somebody of African parenting, And this outrage is actually so selective and often inconsistent because, for example, Tendai Mtawarira is one of the most beloved and iconic South African rugby players ever, born and raised in Zimbabwe, but a South African citizen. Roger Federer, we love to claim, because I think one of his parents is South African. He was born in Johannesburg, even though meaningfully he's Swiss, and yet Trevor Noah is playing tennis with him and he's being treated like one of South Africa's sons. This is the exact problem when politicians take advantage of immigrants to try and scapegoat why many South Africans' lives remain so awful so long after apartheid. They blame foreigners, immigrants, so that they don't have to take responsibility themselves for their own failings, and they outsource the fury to the most vulnerable, who are often immigrants trying to make it in this country. And this is the consequence of all of that behavior.
This is historical and so significant because she is the first Black and Filipino Miss Universe Philippines ever crowned, okay? I feel like Vogue Philippines was like, oh, here's some diversity, and then Miss Universe Philippines was like, bet. Wondering what I'm talking about? I'm talking about none other than Chelsea Manalo from Bulacan just being crowned Miss Universe Philippines, which is historical.
Miss Universe Philippines is going viral. Let's talk about it.
Let's run the clip.
Bulacan! And our first runner-up is Kainta.
Boom, Andrew, you've seen the clips, Andrew. Chelsea Manolo. Here is the title. It reads, Miss Universe Philippines crowns first Black Filipino winner. Black Filipino model Chelsea Manolo makes history as she's crowned Miss Universe Philippines. Andrew, some people say she's a front runner to potentially win the whole thing in Mexico.
Woo! Guys, we got to talk about it because we're going to be covering the top 7 comments because there was a lot of comments from people from the Philippines and people outside of the Philippines, but we're going to analyze the comments. You let us know what you think in the comments down below, please.
Let me just say this. Chelsea Manolo is incredibly gorgeous.
She's fine.
She's hot. But
goodness.
Let's take a look at who she beat out in the field, Andrew. The #1 front runner for the internal Miss Philippines that she won, Andrew, was Atisa Manolo. Oh, interestingly enough,
I don't think she's related. Okay.
Yeah, I guess Manolo's a pretty common last name. #2 was Christy. #3 was Victoria. #4 was Chelsea. And #5 was Chris. And a lot of people were saying, Andrew, that Miss Philippines traditionally have almost looked like Hapa, but more like Filipino mixed with white.
Right. They've always looked kind of mixed, I guess. Even though we know that the Philippines is a very mixed place, that's kind of the sentiment in a lot of these comments. But anyways, basically at this point, Chelsea Manolo, shout out to her, she will be now competing in the larger Miss Universe to represent the Philippines. Yes.
And I think that this really opens up a really interesting discussion about colonialism, colorism. Is it changing now? Because obviously, just people are more, I guess, more diverse and more open and getting away from the old days.
Right. I mean, all different shades are representing all different countries now. So, you know, almost every country is to an extent an immigrant country on some level.
More than they were.
Yes.
Andrew, in Japan, they had a Japanese Miss Universe, Ariana Miyamoto.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, guys, a lot of the Miss Universes are oftentimes mixed because, I don't know, either people find them the most beautiful. Maybe they also come from those circles, like their social status or their family comes from those elite circles where they would get into this kind of stuff early on. Or for whatever reason, usually it's white.
I just think that you want, it's messed up to say, but it's like, if you're going to compete in a global competition, sometimes your phenotype, if you just take 100% local native person, it doesn't seem as competitive on a global scale, right? Because everybody's going to be bringing like people from Latin countries that are already ancient mixed for like hundreds of years.
I think it's just weird that whether you're from the Philippines or Latin America, then like the beauty queens, Miss Universe looks similar, usually.
Well, they all look like Barbies.
Yes.
They all look like Barbies, but with a different ethnic twist.
Yeah, they all look 1/3 Barbie, actually.
Or AI generated,
right,
but in a gorgeous way. Crystal K. Andrew was a popular half black, half Japanese pop star in Japan for a long time. Luo Jing was on China's Next Top Supermodel as a half black, half Chinese contestant. Apple the App is from the Philippines. Andrew Herr is also a half black, half Filipino. So a lot of people were talking about how this is a break from the classic pattern of more white passing Filipino beauty pageant winners. So yeah, it's a big change because it is true that for Chelsea Manolo, Andrew, a lot of the global modeling campaigns that she's been in, she plays as a black model. Like that's she's been in like Black Beauty or like you know, different ad campaigns for different companies.
Right.
So anyway, let's just get into the first comment. It says, "Finally not white. This is a win against colonialism." I mean, I guess, what do you think it is? If there was like, let's just say, for example, let's analyze the last 20 years of Miss Philippines winners, and they've definitely been either lighter-skinned Filipinos or half white themselves. Is it a big change for one to be half black?
I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that, you know, traditionally it's usually the white features that are valued more. But I mean, here, I mean, dude, Manolo is fire. Like, I don't know any guy who would, you know, not want to marry her. You know what I mean? So I guess, like, I think it's good. I think it's good. I mean, she has pretty dark skin. So, and I don't know, like, she looks almost like some just African girls I've seen. Like, her eyes are a little bit more Asian, but, you know, if you've ever met black people who end up having a little bit more Asian eyes, you know, they usually get an Asian nickname growing up because they look the most Asian out of their friend group, even though they're full black. Yes, it's like that.
Well, some black people were in the comments section wondering if she was Guyanese or Trinidadian or something like that. Like, anyway, moving on to number 2. This is a comment that you saw from more white people. Why do we have to mention that she's black in the first one? Why can't we just celebrate her achievements without mentioning the racial component?
You mean without mentioning her mix? Yeah, I mean...
no, the fact that it was a break from the pattern.
Right. I mean, I do think that they are going to give her a boost for breaking the pattern, you know, for the agenda of, you know, pushing more diverse Miss Universes and stuff like that. So I think there is a little bit of that for sure, the political game. But I don't know.
But maybe it's good too, because like if all the winners were all half Spanish or half Italian for like 50 years, I mean, they got to break from it, right?
Right.
Point number 3. Somebody said, how come there's still no full Filipino beauty queens, but I'm happy for? This is more from the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if there's no full Filipino, first of all, a lot of Filipinos we know are mixed, but yes, it does seem like a lot of these women right here on this picture, right, of these contestants,
are you talking about the
definitely mixed. Yeah, they're definitely mixed with something, whether it's Latino, some European blood, or black, you know, blood. So I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, I guess this is just something that the Philippines would figure out. Like, yeah, I mean, dude, if you looked at this Miss Philippines list, it looks like some of them appear to be like, some of the girls seem to be Arab, some of them seem to be more Asian, some of them seem Latino.
No, South African. I believe she's South African because she was born in South Africa. Chidimma. Chidimma is a girl who's been making news lately because she won Miss World South Africa, and South Africans are not happy about this because South Africans think she's not one of them.
Yeah, if she could not have won, then these other issues could not be brought right. In the issues of they wouldn't come up.
Okay, now there's another good example of this girl called Chelsea. Chelsea is a black Filipino. She won Miss World Philippines, but the whole of Philippines was happy to have her, and they were so excited that a black Filipino was able to announce the name of Philippines to the global stage. And me seeing an African going against an African, while a Filipino accepting somebody who has an African blood, makes me think that the issue of Chidimma is such, it has a very deep root. It's not just, let's not look at it on the surface level that she won and she's not liked. I'm gonna be honest, brother. South Africans have had a long history of xenophobia. They really don't appreciate other Africans, not all South Africans. I love so many of you guys. You've supported this so much. But I think it is a problem when we are denying one of us and accepting somebody who is white, somebody who is clearly not an African. Because in this competition, we also had people who have European ancestry, people who have European DNA. But Chidimma, because she won, and she's Zimbabwean, and she's all that, people are angry, you know? Even Julius Malema said this. She was born in South Africa, and she, that makes her entitled to be a South African.
Sure.
I think Julius Malema was right by saying this, and he was right by announcing what is already known. One of the ways of acquiring a citizenship in any other country, let me use the example of Kenya. One of the ways is through birth, through what?
Registration.
We have marriage.
Yeah.
We also have other instances of diplomacy. We have all that, you know. So, Evans, I think this is an underlying issue, because the issue of Chelsea in Philippines is a great challenge for this issue happening here.
The only problem we have in South Africa, just like you've mentioned, most South Africans, if not all, are very, very xenophobic. We've seen several instances of the same problems happening in South Africa, you know. We've seen businesses of other Africans being looted and banned because they say that they do not deserve to have those businesses in South Africa. You know, South Africans want to behave like the people of the UK, where they feel like the immigrants are taking over, taking what's rightfully theirs. But they are forgetting one thing, that these people are skilled, these people qualify for these opportunities. They don't just wake up and snatch them away from them. They actually do qualify. So in this case, Chidimma fought a good fight and she won as Miss South Africa. And the most underlining factor, you know, the most important factor is that Chidimma is born in South Africa.
She was born.
Yeah, myself, I do not care if her parents did forgery of the papers like people are saying online. What sticks with me is that there is proof that she was born in an hospital in South Africa. That makes her South African. And it is so disgusting, for the lack of a better word, for people of South Africa to demeaning her, to discriminate her in a time when she's fought for a position that she rightfully won. If she did not deserve to win, or rather if she was not South African and the judges knew, the judges who were of course judging the contest,
who made her?
Yeah, they could have easily refused. Now that they did their part and chose Chidimma to represent South Africa, it's time for her to go on the global stage and shine. We cannot put her down, man. That is so wrong.
It's a thing that is very noticeable. Even Aliko Dangote said, a white man is free in Africa than he is. This one he was telling the French owner, the French CEO of Total Energies. He was telling him, you are free in Africa than I am. You can see clearly this person is not African.
Sure.
He is French. But he is free in Africa more than a black person. Africans, we are quick to denounce one who is ours, and we are quick to accept that which is not ours.
Yeah, true.
We are quick to throw our culture and accept those Western culture. Tell me, look at all the things here. Everyone here is putting on clothes, even myself and Evans. These attires are Western design attires. These are not African. You know, sometimes I always tell Africans, just represent Africa wherever you are. If you're in the West, just don't be ashamed of wearing African attires. Because even if the white people come here, they put on those African attires. They are quick to accept ours, but not quick to throw theirs. Even in Kenya, we have Chinese institute that promotes Chinese culture. Confucius Institute promotes Chinese culture. We have South Korean culture. It's being promoted in Kenya. Kim Sejong Institute. It's an institute teaching people African and South Korean culture. But Africans, where do we have African institutes in the West? We don't have. Like, this is a deep underlying issue that Africans we have. This is not a question of Chidimma only. This is a question of brainwashing. It's a question of racism,
neocolonialism in our minds.
Neocolonialism in our minds. It shows how much we are colonized. And as the Kenyan writer says, it's high time Africans decolonize the mind. It's the worst form of colonization is the mental colonization. That's the hardest part. But if you can decolonize the mind, we won't be having problems such as this one we are having with our sister Chidimma.
I actually have thought of another incident.
Yeah.
You understand, the Miss and Miss World has happened in each and every country.
Yes,
before
yes,
the contestants actually, before they rather go to the global stage, which I think is in somewhere in the Middle East. I'm not sure of the country where the final will be at.
Okay.
And this story has just brought something into my mind. I have a friend who was born in Kenya, who actually was a finalist of Mr. and Mrs. World Kenya.
Okay.
His parents are Tanzania, but he was born in Kenya. I assume he won the contest. What could have happened? Could we start saying that, yo, we know his parents are from Tanzania or something? That would be wrong. The only reason perhaps this issue has not been brought on board is because he did not win.
Yes.
Assume he won. Probably some guys would start rumors, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, as you've said it, you've asked a very good question. Perhaps he did not win. This would not have happened.
Sure.
And if somebody is not to be accepted as a member of a country, even in the rehearsal, he should have not been permitted. Even his name should have not been in that list of people who are going to compete. But they allowed all these. Now where they draw the line is where she wins.
The same road, sorry for cutting you short.
No problem.
The same road is in the UK. You know, look at a player like Jadon Sancho. Look at Marcus Rashford.
Yes.
Look at Saka of Arsenal. In the last World Cup, these guys lost through penalties and they were really abused. They actually told that they are not from the UK, they are black people, they do not deserve to represent their country. But when they play well, nobody speaks. They are members of their country. They actually laugh. They clap for them. They only wait for their downfall. And then they start throwing racist chants. They start saying that they do not deserve to be Englishmen, you know. But when they do win, nothing is done, you know. The same road is just all over the world.
It's the same book,
different chapters, you know. It could be the issue of race. It could be the issue of the originality of the country that somebody comes from. There is always an issue. There is always an issue. And I just want, I really hope that we can cleanse our minds. We can stop having these ideologies that are wrong, that do not bring people together. We should love each other as the human race. We should be close to each other. You know, seeing Africans discriminate a fellow African in Africa breaks my heart. That is unacceptable, man. Unacceptable.
Yeah. So guys, that's Evans Rayola. Check out Evans Rayola on his channel. Kindly support him by subscribing. And see you in the next video where we'll discuss matters of Africa. Also, do remember to subscribe to this channel. Super thanks really helps me. Kindly give me a super thanks. I will appreciate it.